Does it need to be on that special meeting if they decide to just leave it in the bank and not spend it?
No, in reality, because I have the authorization to sign all the documents on the project and control the budget. So
I'm not sure.
I'm just saying that the decision is to save the money. If the board wants to consider a different decision, have it on the agenda.
Okay.
What he's saying is if you want to, I'm just being clear, if you want to save the money, then you don't need to put it on the special meeting.
Okay.
So
can they decide that now or no?
It's really not on the agenda to do it. I've already directed that with the contractor through
Gotcha.
through Reed. Just
So let's keep that as I'll table it and I'll keep it.
Can I
Okay.
ask you a question? So are you saying that this $100,000 they have given us for line replacement, that's what you're saying?
They have not given that much to us.
It's been set aside for that? What are you saying? I'm trying to understand. Because I know we got in trouble
we
way back
award.
when because there was
This is
money
it.
that
Let me give you. I know what you're asking.
Okay.
We awarded the construction contract for more than we had available in grants.
Okay,
Okay,
yes.
by a round number of $300,000.
Which was going to come out of
our cash. That's why the ending cash is
I got it.
830 some odd thousand instead of $1 million.
Right.
Over $1 million.
I understand.
So
what
we'll
we're
spend
going to do
less of
is
that.
say, instead of spending 300,000, we're going to spend 200,000. We're going to put the 100,000 back in our pocket,
Yeah,
which
because-
is our money.
Which was ours to begin
Yeah,
with.
but we
We're just
still met
reimbursement for the grant. So.
But we're still meeting the grant obligations.
Yeah, we will have spent that grant and closed it out.
So if this board feels that that's what they want to do, we can call for a consensus. Can we do that legally?
I've already, like I said, I'm authorized with the resolution awarding that construction contract and managing that budget to do that. So
Okay.
we're good. The
Okay.
only thing is I wanted to give you the option, if you want to spend it, to put it back on the agenda, on a special meeting agenda.
No.
And that would be our own money, not grant money.
Right?
Reimbursement.
Yes.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay, all right, good.
No action.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Keep going.
Yeah.
Anything
I'm
else?
right at the end.
All right, you're doing,
So the part B of that project, which is the meter and the vault out here, they haven't started that yet, but that's next on their list. So I believe they'll be moving into that. I need to ask Reed, who's been out here monitoring the project. I believe that's going to be in the next couple of weeks.
okay. That would be wonderful to get that meter fixed and
Yeah.
see where our water's going.
Yes.
Okay,
The next item I have here on the summary is just the valve replacements for Nebro, Alamo, and the intake pump station. We already talked about that. Estimated project cost for that's almost 150,000. And then what I don't have on here is the Ranchito well, but we already talked about that as well.
right. And just from looking at your budget projections, item 1, item 2 is already paid for, projected to pay for, and is item 3, the engineering and construction for, that isn't in the budget, that's in the grant, correct?
I'm not sure what you're referencing.
I'm looking at item 4, the one for 150,000, the valve replacement for Alamo, and the intake pump 2, the valve replacement. That's already projected that we're going to pay for that out of our budget, which
Yes.
is capitalized. So
Yes.
those are all going to be done and off this list. The one that's not going to be taken care of is item 4, which is the planning phase of the intake. That's in the grant, correct?
It's in a grant
It's
application.
in the grant application, right. Then item 5, which is...
In all reality, let me just tell you, that will be at least close to a year out before they'll get a contract back to us, even if it was a perfect application.
Right.
So that,
Right. So that one will stay on our list of to-dos for a while with many others. And you're going to come back with I'm going to ask you to come back with a very specific prioritized list of capital improvement projects based on the input you've received. Is that what we're going to see in the future?
Yep.
Okay.
So right now, I'm basing it off of this overall list that we're
Right,
having happen.
right.
And right now, we peeled off these 5 as priorities. As we check things off of this list and they disappear, then we'll pick other projects off of our overall list and put them on the active list. We can't do them all at the same time.
Right.
So
Okay.
is there a different format or a different way you would like to see this prioritized list of projects presented or given to the board? It would be more useful to you?
You know, they're all here, they've been here for a long time. I'd like to see, I'll say our goals for the next fiscal year, 2019 and 20, what you think we're gonna be doing and what we can afford to do. Because we're gonna knock these off, these are gonna be done very shortly here, these 4, I'll say that's on here. I know one of them isn't gonna be, but I'd like to see what are we projecting for next year as far as capital and what we can afford to do.
So changing the dates on here, these dates are all out of it.
Right?
Yeah.
They're off the original list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever the priority is to keep us with good quality, reliable service and whatever we can afford to do. And if you want to separate them, I'll give you one other, if there's projects on here that we're going to hope to accomplish by the grant, pull them off and say this is part of the grant application where we don't look at them on a, you know, I mean, that to me makes sense. And that categorizes what we hope to accomplish with the grant money if we get it.
Okay. All right.
All right, thank you very much, and we'll see you again soon.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
You have comments or anything on this?
Pardon me?
Questions, comments? Anything?
Go ahead.
Well, on page 22,
Jeff, I think Henry has
well, under this comment, I guess, on page 22, year ending 2020, which is next year, 6,743,000 and some more money. That's 6 times our budget. We'll have to figure something out, won't we, if we're gonna do that?
Yeah, so that's
That's a lot of money.
this will all be updated, but yeah. And a big chunk of those will be grant-funded projects. And like we just talked about, we'll break it out next time into projects that we can do with district funds, projects that we're gonna have to apply for grant money on, and if there's a combination.
So you must be, because next year isn't that far away,
you know.
you must be working on something, right? To get the 6 million and change.
Well, this $6.7 million number,
Yeah,
that hasn't been updated since this list was originally put out, so it's already a couple of years behind.
oh, so it's
So
more
we'll
like
update
8
it.
million.
It might be, but it's also not gonna be next year either.
Oh.
It's gonna get moved.
Oh,
Yeah, and good point. Yeah, these dates are not correct, so you can't look at the dates and assume that they're right. There's several years, they're all over the place, actually. And that project is one that was obviously discussed with the board and set as a priority back during maybe the IRWIM, Integrated Regional Water Management Planning or something, but in reality, when you look at what's failing, what's costing us money, what's creating a regulatory issue, an operational issue, I don't see that $6.5 million as one of those. I would look at that as a lower priority, given all the other things we've got to deal with. It might be an $8 million project, but
And just one last thing. I guess that you either tied or broke the record, because in the 26 years, the engineer's here once, and I think this is twice, so I think you either broke the record or you might have been twice that she was here. So
Dang.
I think you broke the record in 26 years. So very good.
And he's
Best
coming-
thing I ever did, vote for you.
And he's coming back soon.
No.
You know, Jeff, thinking about the roadmap that you're going to put together, it might be beneficial if you have the history, you can obtain it easily, as to what key capital and projects that we have done over the past 4 or 5 years, so we can show a roadmap to the community as what has been accomplished and where we're going. Because it's easy to look forward, but we sometimes forget to look in the rearview mirror to say, what have we done and where have we spent their money? So, you know, there might be something good for us to have on our project project list of, here's what we've completed, here's the dollar amounts, bingo, and it shows the community where their money's going to, where it tells a story.
Okay.
It might make our jobs a lot easier.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes,
You're welcome.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Pete. Item C.
Just have to skip this.
Did you, I don't know if there was any comment on the CIP or not. I don't know. Did you go to the public?
Up
Okay.
front. Anybody else? I'll give you one more chance. Anything on CIP projects? Once?
Nope.
Twice? Nope?
There we go.
Okay, moving on. Item C on the agenda.
Danny, I love this place. You've got more things to do when it was kind of timely that you look at this list, and I know that this board is determined to move this list forward and to make sure that we address operations and the operating expenses and make things more efficient, and it's going to take more time than I possibly have available to do it.
Okay.
And I'm not in this to just charge the district money and not get through these things. I think we've come a long way, and we've kind of peeled the layers back and looked at what we need to do in the future and plan strategically. And so you're at a transition time now where it would be, in my opinion, really good to have somebody that joined you and grew with you and got you through these things. You've got a great district engineer on, and you've got awesome staff. And so anyway, I am stepping out from it's a contracted position with my limited liability company. And so anyway, I've got May 31st, just because it makes it an easy timing issue.
Okay.
But as we can talk about later, I'm available to help wrap up on anything at any time.
Okay.
But including help you get the new leader.
Okay. Public comment? No? Bring it back to the board.
Well, I'm glad that I called you and told you about this position opening that we had, and you've really done a great job. Appreciate it.
I have to say the same thing. We would have been lost probably during the drought without you, probably. And so you've got us some wells, but we've got some water too. So thank you for all your work.
Yeah.
Nellie? Well, I'm not going to let you off that easy, because I would like to, knowing that we don't have anybody on board yet, the 31st, unless you have to go then for whatever reason, I'd like to extend this if you're willing to through the next board meeting, because we have a budget due, and I know that you said you'll be here to help, but if we can get somebody on board to that, and if you're willing to extend it till, I'll say 1 month from today, or the 17th of June, I'd like to offer that as a proposal. And if we do bring somebody on, then we can change that from the general manager to a consulting type aspect, so on and so forth. I don't know if that's, and if you want to think about that and come back at us.
In reality, the dilemma that I see at this point would be, because I am reinstating into the public retirement system at this point with another entity,
Okay.
is that
Conflict?
no, they may require that you pay
Okay.
the retirement on the amount of money.
Okay.
And because we haven't established a start date for that, it concerns me a little bit, because I don't know where they'll go with it.
Okay. Okay.
That's all. I would rather do it for free than to have any issues.
Okay,
So that's just my thought. I want to, want to help you guys out, help Cindy out, and keep this moving.
I know that I understand the dilemma, so, and I know you said you're willing to be there to help us through this transition, so we'll need some kind of contract with you, and we can put something together through our attorney or whatever for consulting services, if that's an option.
And that is, that's certainly an option, and it would be not in a general management position.
No,
it would be in a
Consultant.
just a special help position.
No different than what Jeff is with us. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Well, I understand that. Then I guess we will have to accept your resignation as of the end of this month, and maybe if we have that meeting on Wednesday, we can look at developing. Maybe you could bring us a contract. I know that's short notice of consulting, and that way we can run it through all the legal channels and be ready to go before the end of the month. How does that sound? Or close to the end of the month. Is that reasonable?
It's fine with me. I said I'll get it to Raymond and see.
Okay. Yeah, because I know you're going to be here through the end of the month, because I wrote down some things that, Jeff's name was on my list of to-dos, but I also need a budget, because next month is budget month. So I don't think that would be, I think it would be unfair to bring somebody in and say, oh, by the way, you have a week and a half to prepare a budget with no knowledge. So, I mean, that's...
Really? Yeah, no. We're kicking a draft back and forth with Warmer Dam. They normally they take the expenses through the end of April. They project them out for us, and then we add in from there. So they do the programming part of it that takes up the majority of the time. We're there.
Okay. Awesome.
So. It's just a matter of plugging in the projects that we're going to do, and we've talked about what, even if those expenses occur in after July 1st, we want to make sure we capture that in there.
Well, it sounds like you guys are in a good position then. Okay. All right. What do we need to do? Do we need to recognize this and vote on it that we'll accept his resignation, or is it?
I would probably do.
So do I have a?
I'll move to approve his resignation.
Well, let's say you didn't.
Reluctantly.
Well, what happened? He was resigning.
Well, he's going to resign. He gives us a 30-day notice, is what it boils down to.
Well, it's actually 8 days. It's only 8 days to the 31st.
And 11 days.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm
no.
losing my voice there.
Yeah. So, I mean, we can say, no, Pete, you have to give us a 30-day notice.
You have to do that, fine. I'll second if somebody made a motion.
Yeah, I made a motion that we'll accept the resignation. Emery seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
We have one absent. Okay. Well, Pete, thank you so much for everything. I will say thank you. I want to get what I can out of you before I tell you thank you.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Linda thinks yet.
Okay.
No, it's fine.
I know. We're not done yet. I have 11 more days.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. This is adoption of a resolution approving a revised salary schedule to include an update to the compensation of general manager. And then on the same packet is the revised general manager job description. I have those as pages 25 through 31, items D and E. We can talk about them separately, but they kind of flow together. So, Mr. Pete, you want to take this one?
Basically, it's a fairly simple equation. You have not been out on the market for a full-time general manager for a few years. The last time you had one was 2014. The general manager market is, I have to tell you, pretty tight. So the fact that there are some interested candidates already is an absolute plus. This is a lot for the district and what we've got going on and everything else. But the salary that we offer is definitely on the low end. Our current salary the way that it's set up, I can tell you would not work for either of the candidates that you're considering, and you're not going to get much of an experienced candidate pool, if any, at that current range. So that's why the recommended salary is what it is. It's still, I can tell you, it's on the low end because you're drawing from a pool of employees that are in like an operations supervisor position and being paid that already. And again, the general manager's market is really tight right now, especially those that are experienced. So in the packet, it starts at 95. It's consistent with all of our other salary schedules that have a 5% jump in between each step, total of 5 steps. And so there you have it. And the job description is, I really left that open for continued discussion.
Okay.
Because that is really what it defines what the board is looking for. It has all of the things in it that are currently going on, you know, that need to happen with a manager. It's got a laundry list of to-do things. The place where you have a decision or might want to have a discussion on whether you're requiring the certification or not. That is at the very last section of this. You currently have 2 operators that are certified at the appropriate level for the treatment plant. But if you lost one or both of them, you'd have some trouble. But my suggestion is that if you are taking action on this, that you may want to consider that as not as a hard and fast absolute, but as a desirable alternative in your decision making.
Okay. Public comment on what we're doing? Any public comment? No? Okay, I'll bring it back to the board.
I do, yeah.
Okay, step up there then. Moving along, Wes.
There was a couple of things in the old I think that was the old general manager's report, right? That one you had. Was the general manager's description that's in there?
It's been there for,
Right, it's the same one. Yeah,
Right,
okay.
right.
There was a couple of things in there. You know, once again, go back to the same thing. I think we're pretty small. The code calls for supervisors, not administrators. And also in there was a commentary about the wastewater treatment being a requirement. And those are some things you might want to look at in there.
Thank you. Any other public comment? No? Okay, bring it to the board. Emery?
What was your last, Pete, I was trying to understand, you said at your comments you were making there. You use this, are you saying the job description? What were you saying? It was vague.
Oh, just in the job description, the decision on whether it is an absolute requirement that they're certified at that level, the general manager is, or whether it's discretionary and a desirable characteristic. And my recommendation would be that it's desirable, just because you may have the perfect general manager candidate who is not certified.
Well, here's my response. When I was the president a million years ago, got a call from Bruce Ramsden, if you know that name.
Yeah.
And he said, Emery, you better get a manager in there that has those licenses, because if you don't, you and that board are going to be responsible if there's any problem. It doesn't matter if you got an operator down here, because you're the top person. And I'll always go with Bruce, what's that agency in President?
He's with the State Water Resources Control Board now. It used to be the Department of Public Health.
Called me at home. Somebody gave me my number. And I called him back at $300 a minute, I think it was. He remembered with him. I didn't know it at the time. But anyway, you have to have a manager. Now, the reason we did what we did with you, at least I did, is that you had worked here before. You were interim. We should have been advertising. We didn't. But you were interim. you let yours, you said lapse, but you did do this job.
Mhm.
And I think you have to have the license according to Bruce Ramsden. I wouldn't say it's optional, I'd say you have to, because otherwise the board is liable. And I saw 7 board members suffer for 7 years from being sued by a fired general manager. They couldn't buy a car, they couldn't do anything, because they had $1 million liability lawsuit against them. And we want to avoid that, at least I do, because I can't afford $1 million lawsuits and stuff. So I would make it a requirement.
Just for the sake of clarification, that is absolutely not a correct statement. And Bruce, yeah, but he wouldn't say your general manager has to be certified, because there's no requirement in the law or your permits. You could contract for the operators to operate the system and not have any employees at all, and no one be certified, right? I mean, the problem is probably, Emery, at the time you were, I don't know whether you were bouncing around with operators or.
We had no man.
Right, okay, so, but I can just tell you that is a straightforward, I'll put all of my liability insurance on it, I'll tell you.
Is he even there anymore?
Yeah, he is, yeah, so is Cassie, Shahan, but
I
they,
had that's what he said.
you know, I mean, I'm going to be joining Groveland full-time, and they've got a water system, and there's no requirement there, and Bruce is the district engineer for them as well. You know, there's no requirement for that. You have to have the regulations require that you have a person in responsible control of the system certified at the level of the system. Okay, responsible control meaning making the decisions day to day in the field, or being immediately available to make those decisions for someone else who's at least certified. In other words, you can have a certified operator doing it, but if you're required to be a grade 2, you have to have a grade 2 that you can contact or is on site.
Well, if you're going to supervise somebody, it would seem to be desirable that you at least have the same knowledge, experience, and training that the person you're supervising. I mean, that's always been the way it's been when I've worked, you know, in law enforcement or whatever else. At least the guy had all that training and been through the academies and that kind of stuff. But if you don't have that kind of training, you come in, hey boss, I think we'll put peroxide in the system. What do you think? You know, I don't know. I mean, you should know. You should have you should have the knowledge, the training, the background, and experience to lead the people that work for you. That's my comment on that. So.
Okay. Comment?
And are you going to give this guy medical benefits or not? Whoever this person is, I didn't see that, because I think that's currently the way it is.
Yeah, any full-time employee of the district would be a benefited employee.
Well, that's something I think we have to change
I
our rules.
think I saw that someplace.
Our rules say that anybody new wouldn't get it.
Oh, they don't get the retiree
They don't
medical.
get retirement medical, but if they're an employee of this district, they get medical here as a full-time employee.
They probably won't be here if they don't get retirement medical,
Well,
because everybody's got something when they retire.
Not
Somebody should
necessary.
address.
Okay, well, it's already addressed in our policy that our retarees that hire in after this do not get medical. We've already addressed that.
Good luck getting an employee.
Okay, well, let's just keep moving. Okay, Dan.
Yeah, so I don't remember seeing anything on here that I did not like or that I wanted to add to this as far as the general manager's job description is concerned. I'm very comfortable with the schedule, and I don't see any reason why we would not approve it at this point. I think it'll work fine for us.
What's scheduled?
The rate schedule,
The pay schedule?
pay schedule, yes.
Nellie? The only comment I have, and it kind of goes with what Wes says, due to the fact we're a small community, I would like to see us add back into the job description, Pete, which I know it doesn't have to be, it's kind of like the credentials, will assist in emergency repairs must be able to operate all the equipment the district owns, must be on-call rotation, just as a placeholder, whether we implement it or not. But I'd like that in there as a placeholder in this job description. It used to be in, and I know that we, as the ad hoc committee that kind of went through this and worked with you, we wanted that in there. So if I'm comfortable, and I'll be happy to make the motion.
Are you saying may or must? I thought you were saying leave it discretionary.
Well, I can change it to may, if that helps, but I want it in there, at least I feel we need to have it in there to have flexibility if something happens within this organization.
Would that be under the desirable qualifications? I think
That
that's
would
what
be
he's
in
asking.
examples of duties.
Under examples of duties.
It just like it says may serve as treasurer, we can say may
Okay.
assist in emergency repairs. And I think he needs to be able to, must be able to operate equipment, because that's a safety factor, and may be on call rotation. I think those three things need to be put back in there to give us flexibility within this small district. And I'll leave it up to the rest of my peers here to make that final decision. That's just my thoughts on what this was.
Well,
Okay.
Do you want to,
I don't lose my voice before this is over. I don't think I can put that in there. I mean, I already got 115,000, that's a deal killer. Now, that new thing, I mean, how can it be on-call rotation, you know? I mean, I can't.
are you asking how he could be on?
I mean, you wanna hire somebody or not? You know?
Well,
I guess
I'm gonna
if
go
it gets
back.
ugly enough, I guess they won't.
I guess to go back to you, you brought up the fact that you don't want to, you want somebody here with credentials, and if you lost both of your operators, then you're not gonna, maybe on call. What are you gonna do in that situation?
If they were the manager, if I was a manager, I'd say, I guess I'm gonna have to go out and do that.
Not in my job description.
Well, normally, I don't think Pete's ever looked at a job description to do stuff here. I mean, if you're in management, you're required to just do whatever's necessary, you know. You can put, and other duties as required, if you wanna put something like that in there. That means everything in the world, plus mop and clean and sweep and clean the toilet. If you do
But
that,
wouldn't you,
other
you
duties
could
as
put that in there,
required.
but wouldn't you rather have it spelled out with a little bit of clarity?
I mean, yeah, but I don't think you're gonna get anybody to apply for the job. You know, if a guy's 50 or 60 years old, you think he's gonna be out there digging ditches, being on call, you know? It'd be bad enough just being the manager here. You're gonna be, that's a 24-hour-a-day job right there, you know? But I couldn't vote for that. I mean, I think it's great if it's a young guy, but I think you're gonna eliminate a lot of people. Just put other duties as required maybe or something like that. That's most of the.
I agree with you. I think it should be in there. And I don't see, I mean, if I had the requirements, I'd apply for the job, so there we go.
Nellie? Well,
So
Go ahead, put it in
what?
there. You got
So
three votes. You got three
I'll
votes.
make the motion to include it in there. I mean,
I'll read what I will say, and we can put it as a may, which doesn't mean it's a mandatory. Are you ready? May assist in emergency repairs.
Okay.
I'm gonna say must be able to operate all equipment the district owns, because to me, that's a must. You can't say, I know how to start the tractor. Must be able to operate all the equipment the district owns. May be on call rotation. Because there might be a time where this individual has to fill in, but at least he'll have to know the duty. So those are the three that gives us flexibility, but doesn't force a hand all the way.
That's something I just may have to fill in emergencies, all job classifications or something.
So, okay, so with that,
I made a motion.
Second.
second, all in favor? Now this, let's clarify this. This is to modify the salary schedule and finalize the job description, so you know what you're voting for. I want to make sure that you're comfortable with both. So that's, we're going to do we can separate them. How do you prefer it to handle, Cindy? Is it better to
Separate
separate?
out the job description, I mean, the salary. for
If
those,
you
right?
separate it, it would be better
Okay.
because they're two separate items. on
Okay,
here.
so let's go. Dan, you want to make it?
Yeah, so I'll move approval of the job schedule, or the rate schedule, the pay schedule.
On that one, I would just approve the recommended motion to adopt the resolution.
That's fine.
Okay.
Do I have a second for the? Nellie seconded it. So all in favor of the modified salary?
Aye.
Emery, are you there? Okay, unanimous vote, one absent. Okay, the second,
The second includes, I wrote it down here.
the job description.
Yeah, the job description, which is
It's may assist in
may assist in emergency repairs, must be able to operate all equipment of the district owns, must be.
No, may. We put that as may.
Okay, sorry.
May be on
May be
call
on-call
rotation.
rotation.
So that's
Okay.
his
I
problem.
got it.
Do I have a second?
Did we get public comment on this?
No, I didn't. I did it, my mistake. Oh, maybe I did ask for. I
You did,
I
Early on, yeah.
Okay. So do I have a second?
It was Nellie.
Nellie, second. All in favor of the job description?
Aye.
I said the job. Oh, wait a minute, not, whoa, whoa.
You're not gonna vote?
No, no.
Okay, so we have 3 votes for the job description. Emery is a nay on the job, 1 absent.
Okay.
I don't like the on-call rotation at all.
Okay.
All right, moving on. This is an appointment of board representatives for the purposes of negotiating with the general manager candidate regarding contract terms and conditions. And we're looking to appoint someone to communicate and negotiate with the candidate. Public comment?
Can't be Emery.
Why not?
It can be. Okay, no public comment, we'll move on then. Board comment?
We've already talked about this in an ad hoc committee, right?
This could be a separate, it could be a different committee, other than the ad hoc committee that was formed before.
Right.
So if we have anybody that would like
Do
to,
we want one person with?
want to.
Want two. Okay, I would favor just going with the ad hoc committee.
Okay. Emery, comment?
Nope.
Do you have any recommendations?
Well, you know, this whole process, which I'll talk to you in closed session, has been unusual.
Okay, let's just keep
So
with
I'll
the
be quiet.
stick with the issues.
He says he's gonna be quiet.
Okay.
I'll be quiet.
So we have a recommendation to maintain the same ad hoc committee for communicating with a proposed candidate. Is that acceptable with everybody? Are you acceptable with that, Emery, keeping?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess, could we just be a board consensus, Cindy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the consensus of the board is to maintain the same ad hoc committee for future communications with potential candidates.
Okay.
Okay. Item G on the agenda is call a special meeting for May 22nd, 4 p.m. to consider the approval of an employment agreement with the general manager candidate. And that will be the opportunity for everybody to meet and approve the hiring of a candidate. That's what,
You gotta go to the public
Okay.
also.
public, thank you for keeping me straight. Public comment on that? No? Anybody else? No? Okay, back to the board.
Will the candidate be present?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that's, the goal is to have the candidate here, talk to them, so on and so forth. That will be, from that point,
Okay.
all right? So we approving that meeting for 4 o'clock on Wednesday?
My schedule is clear.
Okay. Everybody
That's
else?
good, yes.
Okay, you want to make a motion?
I'll move that we approve the meeting for May 22nd for consideration of employment with the potential general manager.
Okay.
Nellie, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Unanimous vote, 1 absent. Okay, that will conclude the general session of the meeting. It is now 2:33. We're going to move into a closed session, and we're going to open it up back to the public, because what we're going to be considering is employment options for the district. So if there's any comments or input for us before we go into closed session.
Don't pay him over 115.
That's $50,000 a year almost after taxes.
I'm just kidding.
Okay, thank you, Les. Any other comments? All right.
Thank
That will
you.
conclude it. We'll go to closed session.
And what time?
2:33 p.m. is, we're gonna close out this meeting. We will
Yeah.
take, let's take about a 5 minutes.
I guess it wasn't for me.
break.
All right.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. All right,
Jeff,
yep.
thank you for coming.
Yes.
We'll see you again real soon. We'll look forward to. Tell me when you're ready. It's 3:36. We're going to report out from our closed session. The report out is to have the committee make an offer to a candidate, and we will bring a contract to the special meeting if the candidate is available and at that time.
Okay,
So that's all we're gonna do is make an offer to a candidate at that point in time.
okay,
All right? That concludes it. It's still 3:36. I don't know how you want to report that out.
that's fine.
All right. That concludes everything, everybody. Thank you very much.